Hi, I'm Stuart and welcome to SIRENNET Television. All great days start off with a cup of tea, as do all great ideas. I'm sure back in the day when the gang at Whelen Engineering were putting together the variety of Edge Lightbar product, a cup of tea came in handy. Or maybe it was a cup of coffee. I think tea's better. But anyway, over to light bars. This beautiful piece of hardware right now happens to be a light bar that Whelen developed back in the late 1970s. It was called the Delta bar. It was the pre-runner, you might say, to their strobe family, which grew into the monster that it is today, and a very exciting range of product, I might add as well. This thing looks like a brick, it's built like a brick, and it basically is a brick that would otherwise sit on the roof of a car. But back in the 70s, this was sexy. Now, over here, we have an edge bar, as it progressed, into an aluminum configuration, because the bar that you just saw a moment ago had a composite dome, i.e. plastic dome on top, with a composite, i.e. plastic base. This has got a I-beam extrusion in the middle. It's a little dusty because it's from a museum, but basically it's a strobe light bar with some halogen intermixed, and that's pretty much how things went in the early 80s, into the 80s, and then into the 90s. As we moved into the 21st century, things got a little bit more exciting, but as you can see here, pretty much similar in design. The I-beam is what's inside here. There's an aluminum extrusion top and bottom. There's a septum that goes down the middle, and it forms an eye. These particular configurations inside the bar here, of course, are LED rotators. So we've gone from strobe to LED, and that's what this bar was pretty much up until about maybe a year ago, i.e. around 2014. As we moved into 2015, things changed. So let's take a look at the changes, and who better to do it with but young Chris, who happens to be upstairs in the main part of the studio area, because I'm in the basement. Let's go up and see what he's up to. Take it away, Chris.
Well, thank you, Stuart. And thank you for joining me up here in the studio for a look at Whelen Engineering's Freedom 4 LED light bar. I hope you're just as excited to take a look as I am. The Freedom 4 bar, Stuart just showed you, it has come from beginnings of light bars, prior configurations that's brought us now to the technology point that we are with the Freedom 4 series bar. The bar itself maintains the similar look, but as far as the internals, the modules, even the construction of the light bar itself, both externally and internally, is completely unique. So the Freedom 4 is its own design from the ground up. Whelen Engineering has gone through, taken the domes and introduced their sonic welding technology. So that has taken and eliminated spacing gaskets in between independent lens sections. So what this means now for the Freedom 4 that we have here, this happens to be a 49-inch length, there is only one divider cell across the bar. This side is one-piece dome. This side is a one-piece dome. So the front lens, sonic welded over with the corners and wrapping around to the back. So with that, it is offering you a much better seal than the light bars did before. The modules internally, they still maintain the 6/6 look. So with that, nice and traditional for the Freedom light bar. Whelen has actually gone through and adjusted the spacing of the modules. So if you remember light bars before that were the same length, you only had a total of 6 inboard modules. You can see here in the Freedom 4, we have a total of 8. So nice thing with that is it is an increased footprint for the warning modules and also gives you more spacing option for the center LED takedowns. So rather than having them positioned dead center here, as you see, they can be moved over into any of the other segment sections of the warning modules. The light bar itself, 6/6 modules, as I just mentioned. And neat thing with this light bar here is you have independent control of the top module array and the bottom module array. So 6 diodes on top, 6 diodes on bottom, and you can control them independently. So depending on the flashing that you would like to see your light bar offer, you can have a lot of different adjustments to the module display. A neat thing about the Freedom 4 light bar is that it is based on Whelen Engineering's WeCan technology. So with that, if you're using the SYNCOM series of SIRENNET lighting controllers, this light bar will plug and play right into the WeCan control port. You can then go in, adjust the programming parameters using the software CD that includes with the lighting and siren controller. If you're not going to be using a WeCan controller, so you're going to use a conventional switch box or maybe equipment from a different manufacturer, a neat thing about this light bar is that you can control it using the WeCan control point. So this is actually a control point. It takes the WeCan control harness from the light bar, ties it into a input harness on the WeCan module here. So this is where the WeCan harness from the bar will connect into. The module itself is then provided with 12 volts of power off the vehicle electrical system. And then you have a 18-wire pigtail, plugs right into the module, and this gives you a series of trigger wires for manipulating all the different functions of the light bar. So as you would come to expect, the Freedom 4, it is a complete full function bar. So with that, you have intensity control, high-low, ability to operate the takedowns and the alley lights independently. They also can flash for the warning mode. You can have different modules flashing way as needed, so different pairs, just the corners, the front independent from the rear. Also incorporates a integrated traffic advisor function to the back, so very nice and useful. It has a cruise light mode and a lot of other wonderful features that can be taken advantage of, again, with the WeCan controller or the WeCan control point module. So with this, you'll have a trigger wire, lets you operate different functions, TA, warning modes, illumination modes, tying those into a switch box and then turning the switch on activates the appropriate mode. Really trick thing, if you folks are wondering, is you can take the WeCan control module, you can plug it into your desktop, and with the CD that's included, you can go in and fine-tune the flash pattern parameters of your bar. So you can make the display that of your own choosing. Neat thing about it, you can then save it, download it into the bar, or again, a neat thing with the WeCan system, if you're putting together a fleet of vehicles with the Freedom 4 light bars, set up one, program it, save it, and then transfer it into all the appropriate light bars from there on out. So it'll definitely save you some time. The light bar itself, wonderfully, wonderfully put together. Nice and bright with the warning modules. Whelen has also gone inside and increased the reflector size and tightened the spacing of the reflectors. So with that, you're not going to see any spacing between the warning modules, so it's gotten a lot tighter. They've also introduced reflectors around the takedowns and the alleys, so that helps manipulate the light there, stretching it further out, and also keeping it nice and tight, because they are designed to be a spotlight after all. So, best thing about the light bar, it is wonderfully bright, and it has some very trick pattern displays that it can offer for you. So with that, I'm going to go ahead, turn it on now, give you an idea of the Freedom 4 light bar. So as I mentioned, LED takedowns, LED alleys. So you can see wonderfully bright. The takedown set that we have here is actually an array of 6 on each side, and it's stacked 3 over 3. Alley lights as well, they are a stacked position using what is considered a TIR style optic, so nice and directional. They have the ability to steady burn, as you can see here, and the ability to flash as well. For the warning display, go ahead, turn it on. As you can see, flashing of the modules is appropriate. This bar happens to be configured in a red and blue. So nice thing with the WeCan is it also easily synchronizes the modules, so it has a nice clean pattern display. So this mode that we have put together here for showing you takes different module sections, flashes them together, and alternates them as appropriate. So nice bright footprint. You can then go in, tie in the flashing takedown and the alley light mode for an even brighter and more attention-grabbing display. So disengaging modes of the light bar there. You can also then switch over to the takedown, so they will override. If they're on flashing mode, go ahead and activate the steady burn trigger wire. That'll take the takedowns, steady burn. Same thing with the alley lights, the driver and the passenger side as well. Neat thing with the Freedom 4 light bar is that it has the ability to offer you different flash pattern displays. So using the WeCan control point module and the trigger wires there, or tying it into your WeCan control system, i.e. your Sapphire system from Whelen, you can go through and have different warning modes, so different position on your slide switch, or different modes on your rocker style switch box. So with that, you can go in, have different configurations. So as you can see here, we've gone in, done some programming with the WeCan configurator, and we've made it so that the modules are jumping back and forth, so up and down for the flashing array. So it's a neat way to take advantage of the 6/6 modules and break up the flashing display that you see. So for example, in thinking about it, you could have this as your position 3. So when you're running code, nice and bright, grabs a lot of attention. And then when you arrive on scene, you can go ahead, select it into a different mode as appropriate, engaging white flashing, disengaging white flashing as you need to. And again, as I mentioned, you can go in and adjust the parameters so the front of the light bar would disengage, modules in the back, and corners alike. So it's a very customizable and user configurable product. You can go through and adjust about every parameter you can think of, again, using the software that's included with it. So again, programming it through the SIRENNET lighting controller or through the basic WeCan control point. So now that I've shown you the front, I'm gonna go ahead, spin the bar around, let you take a view of the back. So looking at the back of the Freedom 4 light bar, you can see following suit with the front, there is a total of 8 inboard modules. So again, a nice increase to the rear warning footprint. And also for the integrated traffic advisor function, it now has a total of 8 modules in which to display itself from. So again, neat thing about the traffic advisor incorporated into the back of the light bar, by going in, activating appropriate buttons, you can go ahead, have the traffic advisor work for you. So it gives you the basic functions, right, left, and center outward. Neat thing about this light bar is you can display the traffic advisor mode independent of the warning modes. You can also operate them in conjunction. So when your light bar is on, flashing away, you'll notice that the bottom portion is actually overriding into the traffic advisor display mode. So it's really nice that you can have this light bar still offering cautionary mode for traffic around you when you're on the scene, but it still gives you a clear and easy identifiable traffic advisor function down below the warning modules. So really unique in that the back of the bar can display 2 completely different functions simultaneously. Another warning mode that you can do, again, I'll show you so it mirrors the front, is a split function for the modules. So as you can see, the array across the back doing a splitting between the top and the bottom, and again, going through utilizing the software, the WeCan programming, it allows us to take the modules, go in, adjust the flashing parameters, and also adjust the syncing parameters. So that way we can have each side working the way we want it to, displaying the mode properly. So there you have it. The rear display on the Whelen Freedom 4 light bar. Gonna go ahead and turn it off now, because as you can see, it is quite the bright product. I know I'm seeing spots, and I know the camera crew is as well. We'd like to thank Whelen for letting us take a look at the Freedom 4 light bar. It is absolutely fantastic. I'm Chris. Thanks for joining me here in the studio on SIRENNET Television. Stuart, back to you.
Just finished my cup of tea. In time for Chris to finish as well. Thanks, Chris. Greatly appreciated. He's upstairs. Great selection of product, of course, is available from Whelen on SIRENNET, so go ahead and check those out. And as you saw, the progression of the Whelen family of strobe and LED bars has grown up and moved into the Freedom 4. A fantastic light bar with a lot of interesting options coming as we move further into the 21st century. Big shout out to all the gang at Whelen for helping us get the gear together. I'm Stuart, thanks to Chris, and have a great day, and thanks for watching.